Welcome to Bet the Edge, everyone. It's Friday, March 3rd. Thank you for watching it live on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. Coming up, it's a Friday. We're getting ready for the weekend. We'll be joined by my guy, Eric Froton, in a couple minutes to get the latest buzz from the NFL Combine, talk shifting price for number one overall pick. Plus, Drew and I have great news. Drew has snapped his cold streak. He just told me, we have NBA tonight. We got college basketball tomorrow. I might slide something today. It's a Friday. It's a great day. Drew, what are you most looking forward to this weekend? How you doing?
Well, this is March, Vaughn. I don't know if you knew that, but
no idea.
This is March. We have a lot of very, very fun basketball on tap this weekend. And, even better news, the sun is shining. Finally, it has been a cold, wet, dark winter in Los Angeles. And we had a beautiful day yesterday. Beautiful day today. I think we're going to get sun for the third straight day tomorrow. So I could not be in a better mood. Vitamin D levels are up. The account's looking green. Everybody is in a great mood here. So fired up for some basketball talk with you today.
Yes, sir. Basketball will be at the end because we have Eric Froton today. Real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to Antoine Davis out of Detroit Mercy because Drew, 4 points short of breaking Pistol Pete Maravich's all-time NCAA basketball record. And the worst part was Davis missed his last 5 shots of the game last night. Yeah, he wanted it. He wanted it in a close game, but he didn't get it. But still, a phenomenal career for Antoine Davis. So shout out to him. He's a beast. A little bit over 4,000 points this year. But let's talk some NFL. We got a scouting combine expert in the building. It is my friend Eric Froton, who I call the best college football player prop capper on this planet. So first off, how you doing? How's Indianapolis? What's going on?
Well, Indianapolis is not nearly as balmy as LA is from the sounds of what Drew's telling me here. It's raining, but it's been a great week here in Indianapolis, getting to press the flesh and talk to everybody about these incredible players that we get to go and see, test, and interview.
Yeah, there's two sides of the coin when it comes to the draft process. One is your own personal evaluation of a player based on tape and measurements and just figuring out how they fit as a future, potential pro. And then the other, maybe more important side, which is kind of the information side, who likes who's in the market for who is particularly, inclined to take a specific player, because that's how we make money betting on the draft. As we look at sort of the current landscape and just try to kind of read the tea leaves, quarterbacks are rising. This now looks to be 4 of the first 5 picks, potentially quarterbacks, maybe 4 of the first 4, depending on how far down the Bears trade. But from what I glean, it seems like the Bears have kind of tipped their hand a little bit. They're going to trade out. They're going to keep Fields. This is Fields' team for the foreseeable future, which leads me to my most important question for you. Who goes first of these 4 guys, and to what team?
I feel pretty darn comfortable about Bryce Young being the first quarterback taken.
Okay.
He went through interviews today. Everybody got a chance. We've all been waiting to see Bryce Young. Everybody talks about how small he is. I actually had the pleasure of interviewing him.
Oh, nice.
Not today. I saw him today and actually, had a brief chat. But in the summer at Redondo Beach High School for the Elite 11 final, I was there, and Bryce Young was there. I got to interview him for 5 minutes. And I knew I had already had an idea. I'd already seen him. I already knew he's not like some little 5'5" guy. Like, he's not tiny by normal standards. He just isn't. You looked at him, in the gear that everybody else is in. I felt like his upper body is developed where it's just fine. He's about 5'10 and a half, 5'11.
Okay. And
I don't look at him as a frail person. So I think everybody's going to kind of see what I saw in that sense, where he's not I'm not concerned about his height or his stature. And if you look at his film, I feel like he is the most complete quarterback when it comes to throwing ball, when it comes to off of platform, varying his arm angles, being able to layer throws, and just the overall pocket awareness that is the intangible of knowing when he's getting pressured, being able to step up. And even when he's stepping up and moving, he sees everything and, that vision, and he's able to make incredible plays outside of structure without having to run. So I think he's got everything you need in terms of the intangibles, in terms of what we've seen him do with a 2-minute drill in in college, specifically the Auburn game in 2021, which is amazing. And I think he's going to be the number one pick. I think I get the feeling as I stare at the Irsay family YMCA across the street from my hotel that Jim Irsay wants a quarterback. The man is not getting any younger. I think it's going to be the Colts making the trade up.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of comments saying Jim Irsay saying this guy doesn't look too bad, huh? This Alabama kid, and PFF only rated him the number one quarterback last year, and some say size matters, Eric, but from a 5'8" man, size does not matter all that much. Bryce Young will get it done in the NFL, in my opinion. I did want to ask you though, and I encourage everyone that's watching live to hop in the chat. We see some of you guys saying you guys want Richardson to the Bucks. I see you lost, Eric. Do you have an opinion on where Richardson could end up here? Because he has been a hot debate for Drew and I. We were talking to Connor Rogers about where he could go. But if you're a team that's trying to build a mobile quarterback and you're a team like the Eagles coach that just moved and he's trying to demonstrate some new stuff with his new team, Jalen Hurts, is Anthony Richardson kind of like that? What do you think?
Oh, sure. I think he is. Well, okay, with Hurts and Richardson, we'll start off with that. You got to remember, Jalen Hurts was a 4-year starter. He was at Alabama for a couple of years. Tua comes in and has the incredible playoff game. The SEC championship game and takes over. But then he goes to Oklahoma and has a Heisman caliber season, of course. So Jalen Hurts, and comparing him with Anthony Richardson, it only has 15 starts under his belt in college. They're two completely different prospects in that respect coming out of college. So when it comes to Anthony Richardson, though, he has an incredible arm. I mean, Will Levis obviously he's talked about as having one of the bigger arms in this class. I don't think it's particularly close in terms of strength. I think it's Anthony Richardson. Now, where his drawbacks are, give me Richardson over Levis's deep ball all day. I believe it. Wow. Especially on the run, because Levis didn't throw much on the run last year. But his arm's real. But in addition to that, he's currently lined at 4.45 for his 40-yard dash time, which would be an astronomical number at 235, excuse me, which is what he's weighing in at, I believe, at the combine. So that's something I'll certainly be taking a look at. But it goes to show he has incredible athleticism. And that's really what people are looking at. 15 starts, fine. The footwork, he kind of gets on his toes a little bit. You see him heel click when he has to move in the pocket a little bit and reset. But the overall package is just so enticing that I think it's going to be hard for him to slip out of at least the first half of the first round. And I think he probably ends up at the back end of the top 10, maybe number 9-ish, maybe Carolina, potentially. I kind of get that.
I think that'd be a good fit for him. And I'd say real quick, Shane Steichen is the new coach of the Colts, is why I kind of thought maybe Richardson could go number one if the Colts trade up and pass on Bryce Young, because, the odds have certainly looked like that. But if Richardson runs better than a 4.45, that's incredible, because Terrell Pryor was one of the fastest quarterbacks I can remember in recent areas, and he ran a 4.38, 4.41. So
I got news for you. If he goes that fast, he's QB2, maybe QB1. That's elite speed. I gotta also say, I get where your point is. Like, Carolina makes sense as a fit in terms of the need at 9, but there's going to be jockeying here.
Yes,
there's too many teams. And really, this comes down to Seattle and Detroit, right? Seattle and Detroit look at themselves as, we're ready to contend now. We have a nucleus that is strong. We just need, and we may never be here again at the top of the draft where we can take, an elite quarterback prospect. So if you kind of open your mind a little bit and you consider those teams not taking best player available, but addressing quarterback in their last chance, then all of a sudden you have Houston, Indy, Seattle, Detroit, Vegas, Carolina. You have 6 teams in the top 9 who could potentially take a quarterback, and then that all of a sudden becomes gold rush for that first, the one pick. I think Houston probably can make the best offer to flip flop, because they can give the Bears 2. Maybe the Bears do another trade down with 4. Maybe they do a third trade down. But I think that things will work themselves out to where quarterbacks find their way to the top of the board, especially because if Richardson is rising this quickly, between what I've read in terms of like people responding to him in interviews, as well as, kind of putting up elite numbers in testing. All of a sudden now, you could have teams being like, wait, we can get CJ Stroud if we flip-flop with the Cardinals at 3. Or we can get Will Levis if we flip-flop with the Bears at 4. So, you could see something wild where the Bears make like 3 trades out of the top 4 of the draft here and just accumulate a ton of assets for the future, which is the only way the Bears are going to contend, if we're being honest. So I think that would kind of make sense for everyone. Let's talk a little bit about combine stuff specifically, because there are some markets open, particularly in the 40 range, where CBs are running today, and then tomorrow I believe we have wide receivers, running backs, and then the next day is quarterbacks or something like that. I can't exactly remember how it all works out, but we have a lot of the fastest. Oh, by the way, like, there were some fast runs yesterday.
There was some crazy runs yesterday. We're not done. We're just starting.
Well, so this is where I want to go with this. Nolan Smith goes 4.44, and the Pitt D tackle hits what, 4.6 something.
Elijah Cansey 4.67. Yeah,
unbelievably fast times.
Unreal.
Is this a product of the fact of the way that they're preparing these guys for this run, and that we should expect records to be broken? We should expect kind of just impossibly fast times from these guys. And I don't know, are we going to see John Ross's record fall?
Regarding the John Ross record, it's potential. I would think that the player at the top of the John Ross, list would probably, it has to be Devon Achane. Former Olympic hopeful for Texas A&M in terms of sprinter. He did the 4x100s. And during the course of his career, he would go and he would run track and then, or actually play football at like 185 or so is around where he's checked in at. But then as soon as football is done, he goes and he is running the 4x100 relay with the Texas A&M track team. So he goes and cuts weight. I'm interested to see what Achane can run at, where he's going to want to probably check in at a healthy weight as opposed to a track weight. How does that affect his time? I do know that in terms of measuring out the 100 meters, the 200 meters, Kalen Barnes last year had the highest 40 time. It was 4.23, which is right there. It's very, very close to the John Ross time. But if you look at how Achane and Barnes checked out in their 100 and their 200 meters, actually Achane beat Barnes by 22 hundredths in his 100th time. He had an insane. He had a 10.22 is what Achane ran for his 100, and then his 200. He beat Barnes by 1.5 seconds in his 200.
Wow.
That is not joking around. So like, you're talking about a guy who ran a 4.23 last year. It was right on the cusp of the 4.22, and Achane is demonstrably better in the longer events, but it shows that he's got the jets. Now, Achane is lined at 4.29 right now. That's where the market has him at. I got him going under, which would be anywhere in the 4.2s would be astronomical. 3 guys tested in the 4.2s last year. I think we get Achane in it at the very least.
I love to hear that. Yeah, it's interesting to always see the guys too that come from track and field and have that as their background and how they just destroy this. But as you guys all know, the past couple of years, technique has been taught when it comes to these type of drills too. And I think that makes a huge difference. Eric, anybody that you expect to rise and fall this weekend? And also the chat wants to know, do you have any over-unders that you already placed for 40-yard dashes?
Yeah, I got a couple of them there. As far as guys who raise their stock, look at Lucas Van Ness. All right. Okay. Lucas Van Ness, yes, coming into the 40, he opened at like 4.8, went down to, I believe, closed right around 4.74. He ran a 4.56.
Wow.
Okay. It's a guy with Van Ness where you look at him on tape and he's got power for days. Like, you're not worried about him standing up, setting the edge on run plays, being able to bull rush opposing tackles, on just being able to knife through the line, like all that stuff. Like, the power is there. So for him running a 4.56, he's no doubt a first rounder. I think he probably put himself in the top half of the first round. I think he'll probably go in the top 16 picks, maybe 10 to 16 in that range, because of just how much power he has and how the testing really goes to show, oh, it's not just power. He's fast too, and he's going to get to the quarterback quickly.
I love that.
To hear that. Yeah.
Is there one over under you're like dying to see it open that you're gonna like run to the window and bet under or over for a guy?
Sure. The market opened on Tuesday, so a lot of it has already gone up and down and settled. In terms of something that's out there right now, I'm very curious to see. Jalen Hyatt opened at 4.3 flat, ticked up to 4.32 for a minute, and now he's down to the same range as Devon A-Chain. He's at that 4.29 range. Now, if Hyatt clears 4.3, it's going to show the NFL that he has the kind of elite take the top off speed that they really thought he did. And what he showed at Tennessee, even in spite of a basic offense and a limited route tree, because he's running flies out there.
Yeah.
And he's just blowing everyone away. So
Sure.
The question for me with Hyatt is, does that speed that he showed in college, can he get on top and stack opposing, DBs at the NFL level who are the best of the best? And that's really why it's going to be important for that 40. I'm going to gut call it and say, I don't think he can hit the 14. I think that's just a bridge a little too far for him. But one other, Broderick Jones, offensive tackle for Georgia, is listed he started at 4.79 for a 310-pound offensive tackle.
Oh my God.
That's
sitting
ridiculous.
At 4.82 now, right?
Wow.
I have to see you do it. I have to go over on 4.82 for a 310-pound tackle. I know he's a great athlete. He was in the freaks list, but there's certain limits to the human body. And if he goes at 310 and does that, well, congratulations, sir. But my position will be on the over 4.82 respectfully.
That is terrifying to hear a grown man of that size running at that speed, because we speak on the technique part about the 40-yard dash. In high school, I had to get training on the 40-yard dash for college, because this is an embarrassing story I'm going to get out ahead of, because one day someone's going to find out. But if you look up my 40-yard dash in high school at an ESPN little event, I ran a 5.1 flat because I had no idea about lasers, getting down, all that type of stuff. Went to training and ran a 4.7 after that. Running a 4.7 at 300 pounds
Vaughn's got some speed.
Well, I mean, that's 17 or 18-year-old Vaughn. I want to know what Eric Froton will set his line at, because we need to see you run the 40-yard dash at the combine.
Oh, you mean right now?
Yeah,
right now or my prime? Okay,
no,
prime
right now.
Froton,
we want to see you run.
I'm saying prime 4.65. I'm confident I can break 4.65. Like I think I could do that prime right now, Vaughn. Right now. I will say, it's funny. I did a little research. They have the 40 thing outside Lucas Oil Stadium, so the fans were running it. So I went and I talked when I was walking out to one of the security guard who was there all day running it. I said, "What was the fastest 40 time you saw from everybody who was here? Kids, everything." And he said, "Not one person broke 5." Not one person, Vaughn. So you are already ahead of the general population here at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So I think 4.65 is flying right now. I'd be thrilled with 4.95. If I could break 5, I'd be like, hey, I feel pretty good about myself.
I think that's what the NBC Sports Edge Twitter needs and all our social media feeds. When you see Eric Froton run that 40-yard dash outside of Lucas Oil, can he break the 5 flat? We will see. Eric,
I don't know,
as always.
Well, it's raining out right now, and it's outside. I can't do it now.
Well, yeah, it's all right, my guy. We'll let you slide this year, but next year we know you'll be there for here on out, represent NBC, because you are phenomenal at what you do. So we appreciate
I will be the
you.
Rich Eisen next year of NBC, and I will run the 40 absolutely in wingtips if needed.
My guy. All right, Eric. Good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your time out there.
Great seeing you guys.
We'll see you. Woo! Great NFL talk. Before we get to the NBA, though, Drew, I got to read a promo. That's the rules. New MLB season, new roles, new stars. So paired with the Roto-World Baseball Draft Guide, get all the player profiles, rankings, and projections you need to hit your draft out of the park. Go to NBCSportsEdge.com/draft guide and use Pennant25 to save 25% at checkout. The NBC Roto-World Draft Guide. You need that. I'm telling you, you need that for this season. So We also need Drew's winners now. He's broken. He's on a heater. 3 straight winning days, he says. Where do you want to start in this NBA slate, my friend?
The New York Knicks, man. They go down to Miami. We got a little one of the hottest rivalries of the late 90s. Pat Riley and company. I can't even remember when that was. It's been so long ago. But Knicks Miami was always a special head-to-head here. And Heat, they're frauds. Nothing about this Heat team realistically speaks to me that they are going to be in the mix come playoff time. They are very, very lucky to be standing where they are with a very soft schedule and a super, super easy division. The Knicks, on the other hand, are not frauds. Like this, their win-loss, their cover record, the performance of some of these players is true blue. This is a good team. I think that they are very much primed to be a nightmare matchup for the likes of the Cavs in a 4 or 5 playoff series. And they may even give the Celtics the business. We saw them match up specifically against the Celtics recently. And boy, oh boy, do the Knicks have the right kind of combination of players to make that team miserable. So the Knicks are here, and they are not going softly into the night. And they are 2.5-point favorites in Miami. I make this number 4. I think the Knicks are the bet. Not my favorite bet on the board tonight, but certainly love the way these guys are playing. You've seen Jalen Brunson take the leap to true blue superstar NBA guard. I would put him on my 3rd team All NBA right now if we were to vote today. I think he's been one of the most impressive and improved players across the balance of the season, and just really leading this team in the right direction. So the Heat defend well, they try hard, but this team is just not anywhere close to the level that we saw the 1 seed last year. And in general, Butler questionable. I expect him to go. No Lowry. Otherwise, it's a relatively healthy squad. It's just, nothing about the way that these guys are playing screams that they match up well against the Knicks team that is just white hot right now. Knicks full strength effectively, and getting some pretty incredible production out of their bench as well. So Tom Thibodeau's guys are the bet for me down in South Beach.
You can never talk me off of Tom Thibodeau. That's my guy. But I am agreeing with you. I like the Knicks tonight too. They've been hot, man. Like, you can't fade a team when they're on a streak like this. 7-0 straight up, 6-0-1 ATS. In Miami, I thought coming out of the All-Star break, they're going to be a team that's probably going to get hot, start warming up, make a case for being a top 4 seed solidify in the East. But it really hasn't been that case, Drew. Last 6 games, 1-5 ATS and straight up. They got that 1 win over the Sixers, and the Sixers came back and beat them. And I played the Sixers in that game. And Jimmy Butler only played 27 minutes in that previous game too, which was pretty interesting to see him on the injury report. So I'm with you. I like the Knicks today. I did actually lock in a bet in the next game, and I think you'll like it. We're going to talk Grizzlies and Nuggets. All right. The Nuggets, Mile High City, laying 5 points over under 233.5. If you remember, these teams met February 25th, so a little bit over a week ago.
Yep. And
the Grizzlies hopped out to a nice early lead in that game, 28-20. Second quarter, they pummeled them 38-22.
Mm-hmm.
Denver remembers times like that, and that was Denver's last loss, and their only loss since February 9th. So what do I like? I like the Denver Nuggets first quarter. They're going to come out early. The money line's sitting around 140-150. It's -1.5 on the spread. Some places have a juice to the Grizzlies, some to the Nuggets. This might move back down in our favor to a -1. But I think the Nuggets get out to a quick start here at home. They've had plenty of rest. The last game was on Tuesday against the lowly Rockets. So they've had 2 days off, coming home against the Grizzlies, a team that beat them. Payback, revenge, first quarter play on the Nuggets. What'd you think?
I like it. I mean, I think the Nuggets ultimately win and cover this one. 4.5 is a bettable number. My number is 5. The Grizzlies are kind of backs against the wall here. Like this is a must-winish game for them if they want to try to get the back into the 1 seed race. Ultimately, I don't think they realistically can, so they probably pack it in at some point if this is out of reach. No Steven Adams for the Grizzlies, so their defense is going to be a little suspect here, but their offense matches up really well against the Nuggets team. So this has like a 130-120 kind of a final score line here. I think over 233.5 would be my play if you maybe take a position on this game. But you bring up a key point. Nuggets are pretty rested. They haven't really been utilizing a lot of their kind of role players as much lately. They've been giving those guys some days off. They're all going tonight. Aaron Gordon's going. Michael Porter Jr. is going. Murray looks good. So yeah, Nuggets are the side. I like your look specifically keying on them early. And I would lean over for this one, as I think this is going to be a little bit of a track meet.
I could see it. Without Steven Adams, I could definitely see it being a higher scoring game. And I think the first quarter bets, team totals in the first half have been much better bets for me this season. Clippers were a great example of last night. I played the Clippers first quarter, first half. Stayed away from the full game because they were on the road at Golden State, who's a better home team. Warriors trashed them in the second half.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We'll see what happens here tonight. But I like the Nuggets early. We got some good questions in the chat. Aaron Campbell's asking one about my Chicago Bulls and Kevin Durant's minutes related to how we like Chicago, because that line was 5.5 this morning. It's down to 4 at some shops. And as a guy who has actually liked what I've seen from the Bulls lately with Patrick Beverley in town, I don't think I'd go to war with the Bulls here. If you're looking for maybe a player prop angle, DeAndre Ayton's probably a good bet on the over. He's 6-2 to his over against the Bulls in his career. And if Kevin Durant doesn't play those necessary minutes or doesn't play 35 plus, Ayton should probably score a little bit more. And I like CP3's assist too. With Pat Bev and Caruso there, guards will not be scoring points. They will be making passes. Drew, do you have any opinion on any of these teams? Obviously, the Suns looking good. Now the line's down to 3.5 for the Bulls, so a lot of money on Chicago.
Yeah, I didn't play this one. Somebody knows something about Kevin Durant's status that I don't know. The Bulls do, for whatever it's worth, they do play better against the super elite teams. Why?
Yeah,
I don't know. I have no idea why.
It's weird, but both my favorite teams, the Steelers and the Bulls, play up to their competitions and play down to their competitions consistently. Yeah,
no clue how they didn't cover against the Pistons last time out. It's so much Raptors better than them. The Raptors too. Yep. So it's Bulls or pass. I'm going to pass.
Yeah. I think it's probably the best bet there. Like I said, there's better props in this game than betting this game. If Durant's out, there's probably some value on the under as well. Bulls not scoring much, playing tons of defense. Holt wants to know in the chat, should I wait for Jimmy Butler's injury news to bet the Knicks? Yeah,
I think he is going to ultimately go, and so this may come back down to 2. I don't think it's going to move that much though. The big move already came, and it was Knicks. This flipped from Miami -1 to, in some places, New York -3. It may come back down to 2.5, 2 broadly after we get the confirmation that Butler is going to go, but either way, I think the Knicks are the side in that one. Some of the other games on the board that I think are worth circling: Clippers are huge dogs against the Kings, and rightfully so. That second half performance by the Clippers, what in the world? This team is really lost right now. They're probably going to have a bunch of guys rest as well. At least that's what the line of -5.5, 6 tells you. So that's a stay away. Similarly, New Orleans is limping into Golden State to take on your Golden State Warriors, who are one of the weirdly, they can't lose at home. I don't know what's going on with these guys, but they play just incredible second half basketball at home in San Francisco there. So 4.5, 4, very tempting to take the Pelicans, but I'm ultimately going to pass. I took the Timberwolves on the road, plus money on the money line against the Lakers. I think they match up very well against that Lakers squad with no LeBron. And I may plug my nose and play the Brooklyn Nets at +11.
Yeah,
not loving it, but 11 is too many. The Celtics are in a mode right now, really between now and the end of the season, where they look like they're going to win some close games pretty much every time out. I would be surprised if they come out and fully flex on any of these teams and win with margin. So they're going to probably play with their food here, and they may be down at some points in this game. Realistically, the Brooklyn Nets, they still have a bunch of good players. They're not trying to win basketball, but shutting down Simmons for the season and ultimately not competing for a playoff spot is they probably are, they're going to lose, but it's going to be within 11, I think. So for me, Knicks, Timberwolves, Nets, those are the sides that I think have the biggest edge in the NBA market tonight.
I love those plays. Yeah, I'm on the Knicks as well. Nuggets first quarter. And a play I did look at that you briefly mentioned, the Kings and Clippers game. I was circling the Kings team total because they've scored 123 plus points in their last 7 wins. But
Amazing.
Books are sharp as ever. They had set their team total 122.5.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do a first half team total, but if I do, it'll be on the NBC Sports Edge website for sure. But I like your looks, Drew. I think we're going to turn it around here. March is money season for us. As we know, we got NBA and college basketball, which we're about to hit on. But first, I need to remind you guys to go ahead and download that Roto-Road app. Receive those breaking player news all season long to stay ahead of your competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, much more delivered right to your phone. Available in your app store today, wherever you get your apps. It's the Roto-Road app. Make sure you get that. And you could find the podcast on there. The links are articles and all that good stuff. So Saturday in college basketball, we're supposed to start with the Big 12, but I'm going to start with a team that's near and dear to your hearts. The Duke Blue Devils going to North Carolina to take on the Tar Heels. Projected line, North Carolina is probably going to be somewhere between a 2 to 3 point favorite in that game. And I was on UNC the first time around, Drew. They had that game in the bag, and then Duke pulled away at the very end. I'm feeling like North Carolina is the right side. I'll probably be on the money line. What are you looking at in this one, if you play this one?
Duke or pass.
Duke or pass? I mean, but they're desperate. They're desperate.
So this is weird because there is a whiff of North Carolina kind of being galvanized with this opportunity, playing Duke heading into tournament time, secure your spot. But the team just doesn't look like they like playing with each other. And honestly, Duke is rising relatively rapidly in terms of just chemistry, roles, responsibilities being well defined, and some of their freshmen finally playing to their potential. So really good balanced team. And honestly, I think just the likelihood that Duke continues to put together winning basketball here and really rapidly rises in these future markets, I think is for real.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Adam to keep this on the screen right here because I think it's pretty laughable that Duke and North Carolina have similar odds to win the title because I do think Duke is the better team, but this is, in my mind, a spot to back North Carolina. And like I said, it went from being the number one team in the preseason to being potentially NIT invitational.
Yeah.
That is not good. And they played okay recently. They have some tough losses, some not stellar wins over less than competition, but everyone talked about the quad ones, and that does mean a lot when it comes to ranking your competition. But I think this is a good spot for them. And I also think it's laughable that Texas A&M has the same odds as North Carolina and Iowa State. I got Texas A&M 2 weeks ago, Drew, at 125 to 1 and 100 to 1 in the thing. So they're down to 60 to 1. That's a team, if we're looking at the screen, I like Duke and A&M here a lot. But yeah, hey, we can disagree. I think that's the best part about podcasts, disagreeing. You could have Duke, I'll have North Carolina, and when we see
I'll never bet on the Tar Heels is really what it comes down to.
Well, as a guy that went to Duke, I don't blame you at all for that. How about I'm a Jayhawk at heart, not a Kansas Jayhawk, a Jeanette Jayhawk, but they're going on the road to take on the Texas Longhorns. Kansas probably going to be laying somewhere between 3 and 4 points, I would have to say. Kansas won as a 4-point favorite at home, 88-80 earlier against Texas. Ooh. Another spot now, not an ideal spot for Texas, who's had 2 back-to-back tough games against Baylor and TCU. They lost both, and now they have Kansas. So I do think it's another desperation spot where I look at the home team getting the points. I like the Longhorns here. Yeah. Might not get to the window on them, but do you have a strong feel?
Yeah, Texas
100%.
Yeah, Texas money line.
Money line. Yeah.
They've struggled of late. Kansas has secured the Big 12 regular season. They get the 1 seed in the toughest conference in basketball. They're going to get a 1 seed regardless of the outcome of this game in the tournament, in my opinion, probably in the Midwest. I think the committee, Kansas won the title last year. And honestly, if you're starting to think about filling out your bracket, which you should be right now, you need to start thinking about who the public, what's chalk going to be in this tournament field, right? And it's going to be Kansas. Everybody's going to remember they didn't win their bracket last year because some guy picked Kansas to win, and they did. Kansas won last year because they had a good team and a very soft region, super duper duper pudding soft region. And it was, they let chaos ensue everywhere else in the bracket, and they just came through unscathed and ultimately beat a North Carolina team in the title that we know now is not super great. So it's, I think Kansas is going to be chalky in March, and I'm going to be against them, which is not a great feeling, but that's the way that this is shaking up. I think the committee is going to probably give them a really difficult region, and I'm going to look for ways to try to find teams that can beat them in Sweet 16 before we get to the Final Four. If Kansas ultimately gets to the Final Four, I'm going to be I might be the one that's sorry here, but nobody really believes in Houston. People are looking for reasons to fade Alabama. Alabama has a little bit of a signature of a team that I'm not interested in, just because they can't create turnovers. Similarly with Purdue, and UCLA and Connecticut. That's probably going to be my final, assuming those two teams are on opposite sides of the bracket. So UCLA, Connecticut at this point in time would be the sides that I like especially well. You got a feeling for UCLA playing Arizona this week, laying 6?
Yeah, I was on. I live bet UCLA last night. I got in on that one. I had Arizona as my only college basketball play last night, money line against USC. All the sharps lined up on USC. That's what they call themselves, the sharps. But Arizona was the right side all along. Because this time of year, Drew, the better teams are the teams that are winning for the most part, unless there's something that they have to be playing for. And that's why I do like Texas with you, because they are playing for a lot more right now than I think Kansas is. But UCLA, probably going to be 6 to 7 point favorite, I have to say, against Arizona. Arizona won 58-52 earlier in the year. I had Arizona in that game. And I felt pretty good about it within the first 10 minutes. But I think that this is a game where UCLA is probably going to control from the tip to the finish of this game. I think UCLA is rolling right now defensively. They've had some close calls, but Arizona, not a defensive team whatsoever. I've talked about Arizona as my pick to win it all. They're my preseason pick. I've only bet up 2 other teams since then, Drew, UCLA and Baylor. And those are 2 teams I absolutely love, but UCLA, a complete team in every retrospect. So I'll probably pass on this game because both teams, I mean, they're 1 and 2s in the Pac-12. Arizona's locked up to 2. This is just a game. It's not meaningless, but motivation-wise, UCLA probably has a little bit more to play for here. Any opinion?
Yeah, I mean, UCLA has the 1 seed wrapped in this Pac-12. They're going to get a good seed, although they're probably going to get underseeded because the committee hates the Pac-12 and they always have. I don't know why. But I think you have to take the points with Arizona here. I think it's going to be a competitive game. Ultimately, I think UCLA wins, but I think it comes inside 6. Real quick, I want to comment on some tennis because we're covering it all today, Vaughn. We're doing it all: football, basketball, NFL, and NBA, and college basketball. Tennis is, of course, going on as well. The 2 matches that Corday is bringing up here, Baez money line. That's a fair bet. I like over 2.5 sets between Jiri and Baez. That I think they split the first 2. I think that's a very, very even match. I have Baez at 49% chance to win that one. For Yannick Hanfmann, a German kid taking on Nico Jarry of Chile in Chile. Jarry has played a lot of tennis lately. He is getting very, very, very tired. So Hanfmann is a play, but I like the handicap better than the money line because Jarry, realistically, he could win 7-6, 7-6. He could win a tiebreak in the first and then dump the second. And then in that case, you don't have to sweat the third. Hanfmann's plus games is going to win. So Hanfmann plus the games in that match. And I like over 2.5 sets in the Baez-Jiri match.
Okay, I just wrote those down, making sure I'm going to get them myself. I played tennis yesterday, McDonald, and he got absolutely dismantled. But I followed a friend. We all know a good friend here named Kenny Ducey. Kenny, you owe me $20.
He owes you. He owes you.
But it's all right. I saw you in 3-1 after that, and I didn't follow you. So that is my fault. Before we get out of here, do want to let you guys know on Selection Sunday, Bet the Edge is going to have a special episode. We're going to have a watch along. If you enjoyed Jay and Drew during the NFL awards, during their watch along, well, guess what? I get to join the guys and take a back seat for the college basketball Selection Sunday.
So we need your opinion. Are you back seat? What do you mean? We don't know college like you do.
We're driving, baby. We're in the driver's seat. But it's a great episode, Drew, as always. Any lasting thoughts or stuff you want to say to people so they can enjoy their weekend?
No, have a great weekend, guys. It's going to be an awesome sports weekend on tap. Enjoy it, and we will continue to provide you with some winning plays as we go through the rest of the off season here.
That's right. Don't forget to check out NBC Sports Edge for all the info to help you guys out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Get your tennis, college basketball, NFL, NBA, and more. And if you're listening, don't forget to subscribe and rate us on the podcast form. Happy Friday, everyone, and enjoy your weekend. Best of luck.